Welcome everyone to this amazing photographic webinar on why success in photography is not about taking pictures. And we have a lot of amazing content to go over today, and I think that you guys are going to walk away from this webinar with all kinds of added value and some new kind of knowledge on what you need to kind of take your photography and success to the next level, and why it's not just about, the click of the shutter, why it's not just about photographing something, why it's not just about you being a good photographer. That can be important, but I wouldn't say it's the most important thing. I would say it's actually a very, very small part of being successful as a photographer. So while all of you guys are joining, I'm showcasing some of the content, as you can see, that we just filmed at the most recent massive scale production we just did. And I'm really excited about it because it was incredible. This is actually just from one of the 4 days we were shooting. And it was really cool to see and photograph and film with these mind-blowing top models that we brought in. We even flew in top models from Los Angeles, and we had some incredible talent at this amazing experience in Chicago. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what we have been up to show you some of this just really sexy content. And this is just straight out of camera. This is, none of this was edited or adjusted or anything like that. It's just straight raw footage to give you guys an idea of what we just shot. And it was wonderful to have you guys on. I know a number of you who attended this experience are actually here live with us now. So pretty awesome to have you. But I wanted to welcome all of you guys to this amazing webinar on why success in photography is not about taking pictures. And I know this sounds kind of crazy because a lot of us, we want it to be about photography. We want to be successful just because we just photograph some mind-blowing content and everybody's going to love us because of that. And it sounds all great and all. And it sounds like what kind of we wish we could do to be able to just photograph amazing images, get paid millions of dollars to do it, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But unfortunately, that's not reality. And today I'm going to kind of go in depth and lift the curtain on why success in photography is not about just taking pictures. Now, I wanted to go in depth on a series of these really, really important facets of what truly makes a photographer successful. And I would say number one, first and foremost of anything, is going to be producing. Now, I know this is something that, a lot of photographers don't even fully understand what that means. Some photographers that shoot high-end commercial productions do, but a lot of you guys, if you're shooting portraits or weddings or you're doing stuff in the consumer market, producing a shoot might be kind of a foreign concept. And for those of you who have a lot of experience, I know some of you guys on right now, like David Gesprecht, you have a lot of experience producing, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, but I want to kind of show you, even you guys who are experienced at this, a few of the tricks of the trade of how I produce a massive scale production, how I make content and make a production so over the top that no matter what type of camera you have, even if you were to show up with an iPhone, you're going to create one of the greatest images you've ever shot in your lifetime. And it's because of the producing. Now, when I talk about producing, it can mean a lot of different things. It can be, when I talk about it from a filming standpoint, it can also, include putting together an entire production, even convincing people to finance it. And, and that's what I do as an executive producer and a producer for television and motion picture. So it can also mean that. But in photography and in commercial production, meaning filming commercials that can be used like for an advertising campaign or a TV spot or even on social, producing essentially means making it all come together. And this is where the true magic lies. And this is actually why so many photographers attend our mind-blowing epic photographic workshops, because you know what? It's all about the production. It's all about the quality. It's not just about taking pictures. It's about the quality of what you're creating and what you're actually capturing. And to me, that's super important. So when you're able to shoot, for instance, supermodels that have been in Vogue and Vanity Fair and Harper's Bazaar, that's going to take you to a much higher level than if you just, put together a shoot and had a model from Model Mayhem or a friend of yours or a relative or something show up in the scene. It's what we call production quality. And to me, this is really, really important. And it's something that a lot of photographers, they kind of miss the boat on production quality. And, and this means that like the images, they should be epic right out of camera. You shouldn't even have to do a whole lot of post-production on it, but it's because no matter what, if you're producing a quality production, you can see it. Now, what entails a quality production? Well, first and foremost, it's going to be the talent or who you're shooting. So if you have, of course, a celebrity, something like, a major recognizable figure, that makes a huge difference. That means immediately, if you have a high production shoot with a celebrity in your portfolio, obviously that's going to make you stand out to major clients, even consumers and the everyday client. But also, if you're shooting with top supermodels that have been in Vogue or Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, or the Versace campaign, hey, that really stands out too. That's something that's pretty mind-blowing. And it makes you look like you are at the top of the game. Even if it wasn't a major advertising campaign that you were shooting, that can be okay. It's not really about that. It's about what you can portray that you can shoot. And that is really important. So when producing, I make sure that I'm going to bring in world-class top models and supermodels. And one of the ways, that I'm able to do that is I use what I call my photographic currency. I showcase who I am as a photographer to the biggest modeling agencies, the biggest talent agencies in the world. And that's really important because then when I'm showcasing my brand of who I am as a photographer, the Kevin Michael Schmitz brand, I have modeling agencies that give me their top models at a much lower cost. Now, this is something that's a challenge for a lot of us, right? And I'll give you an example. We had just shot this at our last New York fashion photography workshop, and we had models that had been in the Versace campaign, Vogue, Vanity Fair. I had girls from the Giorgio Armani campaign, and we shot at this mind-blowing castle estate in Long Island that was absolutely over the top. And the production quality of an image like this is off the charts. And honestly, Vogue magazine, because of COVID and everything, has kind of downscaled. And even top magazines like Vogue don't even have productions at this scale right now. So when you're able to create content at this scale with models that have been in the Versace campaign or been in Vogue, it really makes a difference. So what I did to be able to achieve a shoot like this, a scene like this, was I was able to use and leverage my content, my photographic currency of who I am as a photographer. And I was able to showcase my brand to that modeling agency and convince that modeling agency that, wow, okay, I want to work with Kevin Michael Schmitz. If I'm going to, work with him, my models are going to be taken care of. They're going to have the best images of their careers. This is going to really be a great opportunity for them. And some of these models that might cost $10,000 a day to have access to, I'm able to get them for a much lower cost than a $10,000 a day that these models are typically billing to these clientele. And oftentimes, they won't even book these models, even if you had the budget, to some photographers if they don't really know what they're doing or they're not perceived as a high-tier, world-class, top major photographer. So this is really important, is developing that brand to showcase who I am and how I present myself. Now, one of the ways in which I present myself is, building that rapport with the agencies, sharing with them, a brief email about who I am, showcasing my content, and very brief, but showing links of who I am and what I can achieve for them, talking to them on the phone and telling them about the production of what I'm doing. Now, of course, it adds a lot of value if you can also showcase to them like, hey, we're doing a shoot, and you know what? I have some major magazines that want to get involved. They're going to publish this story with these models, with your models in it. Now that makes it, hey, it piques their interest. And even if you don't have a $10,000 per model, budget, oftentimes you're able to do it anyways, because if you're able to get it published, they're far more likely to get involved with you. So I'm going to be leveraging who I am and all my relationships to make sure a production like this happens. Now, another facet of production, of course, is not just the top models, because believe me, having the faces in your book is absolutely critical, but it's also locations. When you can land a location like this, a castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace in the 1500s, to be able to shoot at a location that this grandiose, and to be able to put something like this together and have full access to it, hey, that's a big deal. When you have talent like this at a location like that, it makes it even at another level of production quality. But producing is a challenge. So one of the secrets that I've done to find amazing locations, and I'm going to reveal this because I don't think I ever have before on one of my webinars, but I also do certain things to find these locations. And I have some amazing ones. I have some of these things that, people always ask me, how did you even get that location? That location's insane. How do you even have access to a location like that? Because it's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. It's so elite. How are you even getting access to a location at that scale? So, for instance, we shot our Elite Masterclass last year, which we have another one coming up in October at Luis's Pieces, which is in a very expensive studio. This is one of the more expensive studios in all of LA. It's a 30,000 square foot water studio where it's fillable and you can raise it up and down with water. You can have boats on it. You can have they've done music videos here for Britney Spears where they had trained sharks going through, and they brought in a giant lion. They have all kinds of amazing things at this location. I was able to convince the location owner that what we were doing was going to benefit him. So I was able to communicate with him in a way where I was able to get this location and book this location at a lesser rate because of the gravitas of what I was able to bring to the table of him, and showing that we're going to be minimal impact as well. So this is a studio, so it's a little bit easier because this is what they're doing every day. But when we're shooting at, say, a mansion location, shooting at something like you just saw at the castle, or shooting at we shoot at these $16 million mansion estates in Laguna Beach for the Newport Beach workshop. Those become a lot harder. But the reason they're important is having amazing locations is very, very valuable because it adds the production quality of a photo shoot or a commercial or a TV show. So to achieve that, though, oftentimes, especially if you're in a place like Southern California, they want to charge a lot. It's typically for a huge $16 million mansion estate, they're going to want to charge $6,000 to $10,000 a day. So if you don't have that budget, which a lot of people don't, and you don't have a big client that's paying for it, you've got to be creative. So I'm going to tell you guys a secret. One of the strategies that I do is I start looking up all of the most glamorous, the most ridiculous mansions and the most insane estates in a certain area. So if I was to shoot, for instance, in down in, say, Key Largo, in the Florida Keys, which we've done a series of our epic photographic workshops down there with supermodels. One of the ways in which I do it is I start looking up and researching all of the most high-end real estate agents in that area. Because if you go through a location scout, you're going to get screwed. If you go through a location scout, they're going to charge you a huge fee. They're going to get the most out of you. They might charge $6,000 to $10,000 a day. Plus, you're going to have to pay for that location scout to be there on premise. And oftentimes, you may even have to pay for having police officers on set, having different location managers there. It ends up being thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's how location managers make their money. So I try to kind of go around that kind of system because I don't want to get shafted and spend my whole production budget on locations. So I'm able to convince real estate agents that, I have a really good opportunity for you. Not only can I go to your epic location, and I've done this at these unbelievable spots that are 16, 20, 30, $40 million locations. And I've convinced them that, hey, not only can I come to your location and I can get some unbelievable content that I could shoot for you, especially since it's, I'm looking online at these $20 million house for sale, for instance. I know it's for sale. So what do they need? They need content. They need photography and video. And of course, they can pay somebody, or I could offer my services for free. I can offer to, you know what? I'm going to photograph and film a full-on real estate video or photo shoot for you for free to allow me to shoot my huge fashion shoot or swimsuit shoot at your location. In addition to that, I could even feature your location in a nationally published magazine editorial. And I do this all the time because in my workshops, every single one of our photographic workshops gets published in a nationally published or internationally published magazine. And on top of that, I'll even pay you on top of all of that. So I'll leave a check for you in addition to shooting great content, shooting high-end video, and getting you published. And you know what? They can't say no. They can't say no to something like that because it's like, hey, you've checked all the boxes. You know, this is something we did at a mansion in Key Largo at our workshop in Miami Beach, and this was down in Key Largo, unbelievable shoot, and this kind of location was insane. There's a multi-million-dollar beachfront on the ocean location in Key Largo, unbelievable. Having locations like this really adds the value and the production value of what you're doing for a shoot, even something like a swim shoot. So what I do is I'm going to build all these relationships. And now, since I've spent time doing this over the years, I have locations in all over the world. You know, I have mansions in Bel Air, in Key Largo, Miami Beach, New York, Long Island, Chicago, down in Atlanta. And this is not just locations that are private locations, but also public locations too that are privately owned businesses that have an unbelievable location. Like for instance, you guys, you know, I was able to shoot in a mind-blowing vineyard, a wine vineyard down in Atlanta. I was able to get this massive scale castle that's designed to be this wine vineyard down in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was incredible. I was able to access at the most recent production we just did in Chicago. You guys noticed that amazing location that we were just shooting all of that lifestyle content that was absolutely mind-blowing. For those of you guys who got on kind of early to this webinar, you know, we're shooting at this unbelievable location. It was a 13,000 square foot mansion estate in Barrington, Illinois. It is in the Chicago suburbs. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of a location like this. Now, it was a mansion and it was amazing, but it also had all this outdoor area, which looked absolutely spectacular, that we could bring horses out there. We had these gypsy vanners that are some of the most spectacular horses I think I've ever had the opportunity to shoot with, adding to that production value because we produced something completely over the top. We also brought in these top models and unbelievable fashion stylists, unbelievable props, all of it to put something like this together. So we're creating a moment and creating a scene where we're producing every detail. So I have everything planned out. I'm planning out the model casting, the wardrobe. In addition to hiring wardrobe stylists on every single shoot day, I also ordered about $15,000 of wardrobe in addition to what my wardrobe stylist pulled. So a secret to that is I do buy-in returns. You know, the old way of doing it is to go in and go to showrooms where they have fashion showrooms in New York and Los Angeles. Don't really have a lot of those in places like Chicago. You know, so you can get away with it in New York and LA, a little bit less so now because of COVID. But nowadays, what the best method is everybody is offering free returns and online shopping. And oftentimes free shipping as well. So for instance, for this shoot, you know, I ordered about $15,000 of wardrobe specifically from Bloomingdale's as well as Amazon. And we also had stuff from Macy's. We had all these amazing orders and making sure that being very careful about where we're pulling these clothes from, making sure that the return policy is really solid. So for instance, not all brands do that. Like certain brands like Free People, which is what we use mostly at this production, Free People has a terrible return policy, and they're very, very difficult to do the whole buy and return thing from. So there's other solutions than something like working with a brand like Free People. I'll go directly to department stores. Some department stores like Belk, which is down in the South, they offer 180-day return policy, which is insane. So you can have it for 6 months. And that way, you know, it's kind of a risk-free situation. And I really appreciate that because it makes it a lot easier as, you know, if I'm a photographer pulling all these clothes, that way I don't have to worry about it. Now, in addition to that, I'm also instructing and hiring these amazing fashion stylists. Now, the backbone to a photo shoot, you first, I mentioned the talent, right? The talent is absolutely critical. Having top models or celebrities in your shoot. Don't even bother with having somebody who is a model mayhem or a friend or a relative or something. It's not even worth having your portfolio because it doesn't give you that same level of gravitas that you really need. And this goes for you as consumer photographers as well. In addition to this, I'm also, remember we're talking about locations. Locations are critical. You know, this is key. We just did this unbelievable shoot. This was actually, and it shows how varied everything is. We just showed you that lifestyle day. That was a lifestyle day of the Chicago workshop. This is one of the fashion days. We shot at a location that was built in the 1860s called the Palmer House, Chicago. And we shot in one of their, I think they have about 8 ballrooms in the Palmer House. And this is one of my absolute favorites, is the red lacquer room. And we had access to this. And this, of course, took a lot of work because I tell you what, the Palmer House is one of the largest hotels. It is the largest hotel in all of Chicago, and it's been closed for a year and a half due to COVID. It took probably 11 phone calls to try to coordinate this, but I actually am really good friends with their PR director that I built relationship over time. And they've given me this location because they know me and because they trust me and they work with me, and they provide me this unbelievable location that I'm able to shoot at. But because of COVID, they're all on furlough. So I was able to coordinate this while they're closed and workshop in Chicago at the Palmer House Ballroom, and it was only 2 days after they even opened the resort, which is pretty insane. So we got really fortunate, and I was able to coordinate something like this, which is just completely over the top. And this just shows you a little bit of the video that we shot in black and white in 8K with a Canon R5 on a gimbal. So it was completely insane. And the content like this, I mean, absolutely elegant and spectacular. And this is one of the top supermodels that we'd flown in from LA. So it was pretty incredible. But this kind of location, this kind of production value, this takes you to the next level. Okay, so after that, we've got our models, our locations. It is the fashion styling, you guys. The wardrobe styling is absolutely critical to being successful because it's not just about taking pictures. It's also having the right content in your pictures, the right wardrobe, the right outfits. And as you can tell, these shoots that I'm showing you, this is our shoot like a week and a half ago, they are epic because of the styling. The styling's incredible. So I hire the top fashion stylists in the world to come on set with us. And what they do is they're working really, really hard and intensely before the workshop and before any production shoot. And I do the same at my commercials, TV productions, and major fashion editorials and ad campaigns. I'm working with these fashion stylists to pull all this wardrobe. And then I supplement it with wardrobe that I'm purchasing. So I also recommend that you guys, you remember I talked about a $15,000 purchase. I recommend you have very high credit cards with very high credit limit so that you can buy and return. I mean, I regularly buy probably $150,000 to $200,000 in wardrobe a year, buy and return. That's kind of my typically. And I actually, you know, I knock on wood, I actually have really good luck getting, I would say, you know, 99.9% is returned. Once in a while, there's one item that gets damaged or lost or something on set, but I always get everything in return. And that's the beauty, is that I have the power to get world-class, the hottest outfits, the hottest wardrobe, the hottest fashion styling that's in season, that's brand new, and I'm able to buy it and then just return it easily without any sweat. So that's kind of some of the secrets. But fashion stylists, the core backbone to my photo shoot, absolutely critical to having a successful production is having an amazing wardrobe styling team. But they're expensive. Typical wardrobe stylist about $2,500 a day. And for instance, on a 4-day shoot, they're usually going to have about 3 days of pulls and another 2 days in returns. So you calculate that out, you're spending a huge budget just on the fashion alone. You know, it's going to add up quick. It might be 15, 20 grand just for your fashion styling cost. In addition to your hair and makeup artist, my typical hair and makeup artist, they're usually about $2,000 a day for a commercial production. And you need one hair, one makeup, usually a makeup and hair assistant. Also my production assistants, my PAs. I usually have 3 to 6 production assistants on set, depending on the scale of the production. We just did this big shoot in Las Vegas, and at that production, we needed a bigger production team. So I think we had 6 or 7 production assistants on set while we're down there in Las Vegas, because the production and what we were doing. This is just an image straight out of camera, unretouched, from one of our photographers that attended. Unbelievable production, but of course it took a lot to get there, to get to this location, to put together the production. And we also had another set where we put up an entire set of scaffolding that was totally over the top, and we did this massive scale production. So I have a full team. I also generally have camera operators. We also are going to do, if we're doing a video production, we're going to typically do, you know, for a TV commercial or a TV show. And for those of you who are photographers, I highly recommend that you build that video reel as well, because that's critical these days. But typically when we're doing a video production, we're going to have 2 camera operators. We're going to have a first AC, a second AC. We're going to have grips, gaffers. We're going to have we're going to have producers. We're going to have cinematographers. We're going to have a big production team, in addition to all the stylists, all the talent, and everything like that. So make sure, guys, that when you guys are going on set to do a photo shoot, do it right, produce it properly, and make sure your production is completely over the top. One of the things that, I know it sounds silly, but one of the things that's also extremely important is catering and food. One of the mistakes that I made early on in my photographic career is I would often just, you know, take that for granted and just, you know, order food from a restaurant and have food delivered or have somebody pick it up. Well, I tell you what, literally 100% of the time when I've ordered for a photo shoot from a restaurant, they didn't get it right. 100% of the time, I've never had them actually get it right when they're, you know, ordering for 30 people. So, and then if people are ordering something specific and then it doesn't come, or doesn't come in time because it's 2 hours late, you get some frustrated models. You get some frustrated production teams, assistants, PAs, everybody. So I recommend that you always hire catering and you actually spend the money to get it right. But one secret to that is I come up with a budget ahead of time, and caterers are all over the place in cost. So I have a set rate of what I pay for my caterers, and I'm going to be like, you know what, this is my budget. Can you make this happen with this menu within this budget for lunch? And you can make that happen. And, you know, and some of them will, some of them won't. But now I've built world-class catering teams in all over the world, from LA to Miami to New York to Chicago. I have amazing chefs all over. They have incredible food that's healthy and options for everybody, making sure you have stuff that's vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, etc., and that everybody's happy and it shows up on time. We have sternos under it, it's heated. All these things, they sound silly, but they're extremely important to making sure your production's world-class. Because if your models aren't happy, and they're frustrated, or they haven't been fed, or, you know, your PAs are not, you know, are not being taken care of, you're going to have problems. And when you have problems, your production's not going to be as smooth. So I want to make sure that you guys are making sure every little detail of your shoot is taken care of. Also, your equipment. Make sure your equipment works. Make sure you have the right equipment. And oftentimes, I don't recommend buying equipment. I recommend renting it for a big shoot, unless you have a client that's paying you for a 5-day shoot and you've got this big budget to rent gear. That might be an opportunity to buy equipment for yourself and then rent it to yourself. And that way you can use it as a way to pay for equipment. But generally, I don't like to buy equipment. I don't like to waste money on that. I would rather my clients pay for it. That'd be my strong suggestion for that. So guys, I want to make sure that when you are producing these shoots and you are creating this unbelievable content, make sure that every detail is thought of. Make sure that your production is A-list, world class. And if it's not, you've got to change things. You've got to make it amazing. It's going to cost a little bit. It's going to cost, you know, the productions to do a big production shoot. It's expensive. So make sure your clients are willing to pay for that. And if they're not, you're going to need to find different clients. So any questions on producing, I'd love for you guys to ask in the Q&A, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So I think that, you know, and we have a couple questions here that I know Priscilla has answered, and I want to answer these live. But if you guys have any questions on producing a photo shoot, I want you guys to jump on, and I want you guys to ask in the Q&A, not in the chat, in the Q&A, because that way we can answer your questions really easily. All right, guys. Now, I do want to tackle a question from Apoku Ubang. Asks, I was wondering if you had any tips on ways to dive deeper into being a better fashion photographer. I feel like I'm stuck and I don't know how I can improve my image quality as well as making my ideas come to life. Well, that's a great question, Apoku. I think that a lot of photographers are struggling with this. They have these ideas of these inspiration boards, and this is kind of how I would start. So first of all, when I start to conceptualize a fashion shoot, I come up with an inspiration board. And my favorite way of doing this is to jump on Pinterest. Pinterest is a really great way to kind of come up with my concepts of what I want to create, some dream shoot that's just mind-blowing. This is how we came up with that epic shoot with in the water at the water studio. Is we came up with this unbelievable concept that we created, and it all started off from a Pinterest board. That's where it all came from. Once we had that image and those images in the Pinterest board of what we wanted to create, we then can come up with what I call a creative brief. Now, a creative brief is something where I'm going to put my ideas down and I want them to come together into creating a story. This is how I pitch magazines. And I know that you guys who have attended our workshops, I've all made you do this process of developing a creative brief. And I'm going to show you an example. Here's an example of a creative brief. And this is a creative brief, and it's a concept brief where, okay, Italian palace haute couture. And I talk about the story. As the supermodels descend from the stagecoach adorned in high fashion couture gowns circa 16th century Italy, a gentleman leads them into the castle. And then it goes on from there. And I have this whole story written out here in this creative brief. I also have inspiration of the story that I want to tell. This is the style and concept, and I pulled these from Vogue, Vanity Fair. I pulled in these amazing outfits, these incredible wardrobe, and I came out with this whole story. This is what I want to tell for that fashion magazine editorial. And then I'm also listing out who's the talent, who's the director of photography, the location, emotions, wardrobe, props, wardrobe stylist, makeup and hair, all the details. Even if you don't have this team, that's okay. We can always come up with this concept, and you can always wrangle in these people. You can always find them. And it can maybe even be people you don't even know yet, but you could attach them and you could reach out to them and be like, hey, listen, I'm pitching this epic fashion story. Would you want to get involved? And then you could attach them to the story. Now, these ones were actual, stylists and production teams that I had attached to the story. And I went and I pitched this to some magazines and got magazines to hire me. And I went and I flew to Italy and I shot in Milan, Rome, Venice, and Istanbul through a series of editorials for a series of magazines. And I went to Milan Fashion Week. And that's how I got there, was I used a creative brief concept to pitch them. And by the way, if you guys are interested in this, we are offering free photographic consults with our photographic consultants on how to do this, how to develop a creative brief, how to develop an inspiration board, and also what you're going to do to kind of take your photography to the next level, and what kind of steps can you take. And this is really important, you guys, because I want to make sure that when you are conceptualizing what it is you want to do in your career, I want to make sure that you're coming in with concept. You're coming in with something that's going to be a story that you can tell. That's what this is all about, is storytelling, because as a photographer, you're a storyteller, aren't you? That's what you are. So we're here to help you tell that story. And as a photographer, it's very, very important to be a storyteller. And how to become a storyteller? You have to create stories, just like I'm showing you here. This is telling stories. Now, if you guys want to learn more about this, I actually have a special free consults that we can set up with you personally with our photographic consultants right now. And you can actually set this up and even have a free consult this week, even today if you want to. We have kind of opened our schedules up. We've been traveling all over the world, from filming at my castle in France to shooting in the Maldives for my TV show Great Escapes, to shooting in Miami and Las Vegas, Chicago, Los Angeles. And we're now here for the next week before in about a week and a half, I fly back to my castle in France, my 40,000 square foot, 49 room castle in Massiat-en-Cambrai, and we're going to be doing shoots there, and I'm going to be conducting some webinars live from there. But in the meantime, I want you guys to take advantage of the opportunity of a free photographic consult. And you can go over developing creative briefs, inspiration boards, how to produce a shoot, or how to book more clients and how to make more money as a photographer. It's totally up to you. But I put that link in the chat, and I want you guys to click on it and set up a consult. You guys have done one before, that's okay. I think that it's something that's really important that we can help you master. Now, with the Photography Workshop Series, we are here for you, and we design our strategy for you. We're going to design your photographic strategy. We're going to help you kind of take it to the next level, and that's free of charge. We want to give lots of value to you, each and every one of you. We want to help you understand, how do I produce a shoot? How do I develop a creative brief, a concept board, inspiration brief? How do I do all of this? What does it take to become a successful photographer? What do I need to do to get there? What kind of steps is it going to take for me to be a successful photographer? And if we haven't achieved it yet, if you haven't achieved your goals yet of where you want to be as a photographer, that's okay. We need to find out why. Well, I want to find out what is it about, your photographic career that's holding you back? And I would love it right now as an opportunity for you to tell us that. I want to know, what is holding you back? What is holding you back in your photography? I want you guys to ask me, and you guys can put this in the Q&A. What's holding you back right now from achieving your goals? And I don't know what those goals are. Each one of you, maybe you want to shoot a $20,000 wedding. Maybe you want to shoot a magazine editorial for Vogue magazine. Maybe you want to shoot an ad campaign for Dolce & Gabbana, like our past attendee, Charles Warren, who took 2 of our workshops and started out as a portrait photographer and is now shooting for Dolce & Gabbana Brazil. A photographer like Charles kind of went from zero to hero like that because of what he was able to gain from our elite photographic team and attending the Photography Workshop Series. It completely changed his life, okay? Absolutely changed everything going on in his career, and he went from being a portrait photographer to being able to shoot campaigns for major clients, be able to shoot for Vogue, Dolce & Gabbana, L'Officiel, Harper's Bazaar, Cosmo, Lee Jeans. He has done amazing work, and it all came from attending the workshops. Now, of course, we also have to think about, okay, what's our budget? What is our budget to be able to attend and to be able to basically play in this game, to shoot at the highest level? And this could be in consumer, it could be in commercial, but I invite each and every one of you to answer our poll. What is your budget to develop your photographic portfolio and to enroll in an elite photographic workshop? And, and my recommendation, I would say most people spend between 10 and 20 grand per year, some more, some less. If you guys are not investing in yourself, I am very, very concerned for you, because that means that you're not investing in yourself. That means you don't care. That means you don't care and believe in yourself to achieve more, because every photographer, even photographers at the highest level, are constantly investing in themselves. And by the way, I have a story. I have a gentleman, a photographer that I had mentored this is about 5 years ago, and he had shot 8 covers for Vogue magazine, okay? But here's the thing. He shot for Vogue magazine, and they didn't pay him anything. They paid him zero budget. And every shoot that he did, he kind of felt it out and realized he got a lot of free stuff. He got a lot of production value for shooting for Vogue, but it cost him about $8,000 to $10,000 per shoot. So he lost approximately $80,000 shooting for Vogue magazine, but he shot 8 covers. So it added a lot of value and photographic currency to what he was doing. But he kind of saw that as a portfolio development, and it worked. And now the guy lives in a $15 million house next to Selma Hayek in Beverly Hills. And he even hired me to basically, he hired me for about $65,000 to consult him and mentor him to guide him to get him back on top to where he was. And we helped, and we did, and we got him back in the door with all these high-end decision makers, got him back in the door with Interview Magazine, Vanity Fair, Vogue, all the big magazines, Rolling Stone, that he wanted to get in with, and completely rebranded who he was. And the images that he shot at our photographic workshops, they were the greatest images he had ever shot in his career, even better than what he shot for Vogue. And that's why he ended up hiring us and getting involved with us. Really important. But I would strongly recommend you guys invest in yourself, because it is the most valuable ROI you could ever have. If you guys believe and understand business at all, the best return on investment is going to be investing in yourself. It's not equipment. It's not a studio. It's not an expensive car that you may or may not need. It's investing in yourself, self-development. That is everything. I've invested a lot in myself. I pour money into my photographic portfolio, my video production reel, into my marketing, all of that. It's a reflection of the value that I see in myself, and I encourage you guys to do the same. Extremely important. So if you guys haven't answered it yet, please open up in the polls. I launched a poll here, and I really recommend you guys answer this. What is your budget to invest in yourself as a photographer? What do you do to invest in yourself? I would love to know. Very, very important. And I'm going to share these results with everybody to show you guys, what you guys are answering. So that way you guys can kind of see what other people are investing in yourself. And it's a range. If some people don't invest in themselves at all, some are investing 15,000 or more. Obviously, those that are investing the most generally get the biggest return. I've invested a lot in myself, and I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of success, but it's because I've developed this unbelievable body of work. I've developed this scale of photographic currency that allows me to be successful. It gives me the opportunity to kind of take it to the next level, and it makes it so that clients, when they see me, they have a perception of who I am and what my brand is. And I want that to be the same for you, to give you a brand identity. Now, before I get into the next section, which is, I think, the most critical and the most valuable set of information and I want to make sure you guys stay on for this. I don't want you guys to drop off, because the next segment I'm going to go into is going to be all about closing the deal and booking more clients as a photographer, which is the most critical factor in photography, making money and being able to sustain yourself as a successful photographer. Because if you don't, and you're just, basically, doing photography for the sake of doing photography, that's fine too, but then might as well just be a hobbyist. Why waste your time? Why not make some money and actually get paid for what you do and who you are? I think that's the most important thing, because if you're not, you're cheating yourself. You really deserve to be compensated appropriately as a photographer. That is absolutely critical. And a lot of my photographers that I consult and I mentor, a lot of them are undervaluing who they are. And I don't want that to become you. I want to make sure you are valuing yourself. That's why, I was able to, this year, I was able to buy this 49-room castle in France, and I'm using this as an opportunity of leverage. I'm using this to also woo in clients. This castle has been in Vogue magazine. It's been in Vanity Fair. The person I bought it from, their son was a super famous fashion designer that's been in Vogue and stuff. And I am producing a whole series of shoots over the next couple of months, because this is, the premiere season. It's unbelievably gorgeous in France right now. And at my castle, I'm going to be producing shoots with supermodels from Paris and shooting massive scale high fashion productions on location at the castle. And I fly there in about a week and a half. So I'm going to be shooting, and it's going to be unbelievable. But I'm also going to be inviting top clients to close the deal, inviting major advertising agency decision makers, directors of marketing, corporate owners, people that are really high-end decision makers. I am going to be wooing them in and inviting them to my castle and adding enough value to their life and giving them an experience of a lifetime that they're not going to want to not work with me. They're going to want to be a part of this. So it's just a little thing that I'm going to. Maybe you guys don't have anything like this to give to them, but I bet you have something else. I bet that you have an ability to maybe you've got a vacation home somewhere to invite people. I've done this. I own multiple beachfront properties in California, in Huntington Beach, in Pacific Beach, San Diego, and I have a place here in Hermosa Beach. And I've oftentimes used that to leverage and brought in creative directors and art producers and photography agents and given them the opportunity to stay for free at one of my properties. So if you have something special, a vacation home or a cabin in the woods or whatever, or maybe you have a special boat or something like that, use that as leverage. I try to use everything that I have to leverage to get more success, to get more opportunity. This has also helped me get more opportunity with television shows, because not only does my TV show Great Escapes airs on CBS this September, comes back into resyndication, but also we're going to be filming. It's looking like a season 2, which I'm really excited about, and I'm working on trying to get a DIY kind of Escape to the Chateau type show at the castle. But without this entity, obviously this gives me leverage. I'm doing everything that I can to leverage my opportunity. Which gets me into the next section of what I want to talk about, guys. And by the way, I'm going to showcase your poll results here. And it looks like the majority of you guys, I would say, a quarter of you are spending $10,000 or more on your what you're willing to invest in. There's a quarter of you that aren't investing in it all, and then the rest of you kind of in between. That's totally fine. I definitely want to make sure, though, that you guys are maximizing your budget and allocating your budget appropriately. Investing in yourself and investing in your portfolio, attending workshops, and also the marketing. The marketing is absolutely critical. I can't stress that enough. Okay, that is absolutely vital, and I want to make sure that when you guys are thinking about this kind of stuff, make sure that you're investing in something that's going to give you ROI, give you a return on investment. Very, very, very important is to give a return on investment. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll here about which of these epic experiences, these unbelievable photographic workshops that I've been mentioning, which of these would be something that you guys would like to attend. Okay, so I would love to, and I welcome you right now to answer this poll. I would really love to know. Now, the Branding for Photographers workshop, we just conducted it a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of the greatest virtual workshops we've ever done. We hosted on Zoom, and you can also still get involved with this and watch it in rebroadcast. So you can buy this thing in rebroadcast. It was incredible. It was a 6-hour intensive. We had the great Crystal Wright, who is this fashion guru. She was a photography agent and styling agent for 20 years and even published the Hair, Makeup, and Fashion Styling Guide. We also had the great David Sanchez, who was a photography agent, modeling agent, and talent agent, and social influencer agent in Chicago. Incredible, probably one of the best panelists I've ever had. And it was an incredible experience. I can't stress that enough. That those who attended, I know many of you guys are on here who attended it. It was an unbelievable workshop. That one, you guys can still get a hold of it if you guys haven't seen it yet. Also, the Chicago workshop, I know we just did it, but if you guys are interested in Chicago from next year, go ahead and put it on there. We are just opening up now the opportunity to book Chicago of next year, which is going to be unbelievable. And we are doing all 5-day workshops in 2022. And it's because we've had so much success and so many incredible opportunities with the workshops in 2021 for 4-day workshops. At our Las Vegas experience, our photographers demanded a day 5, and we created a day 5 of our Vegas workshop, and it was such an epic success. Some of the greatest images we'd ever shot throughout the entire week happened on day 5, and those who attended, it was an unbelievable experience. And they know exactly what I'm talking about, those who attended that are on right now. It was absolutely mind-blowing on day 5. We set up the scaffolding on a cracked earth desert, and it was an experience where we shot with these supermodels that were flown in from Los Angeles. So we had these unbelievable models, and it was just absolutely out of this world insane as far as a level of production, the scale of what we created. And I'm just really, really grateful of what we did. So I definitely would want to make sure that if you guys get a chance to, definitely get involved in one of those of next year. If you guys, and of course we have, I think the New York workshop it might be sold out. If not, there's a waiting list. That's the one coming up this year. And also we have our Epic Experience at our Elite Masterclass, which is our most over-the-top and elite high fashion workshop of the year. And that one, I think there is a spot left in that one. We do recommend you take 2 or 3 main section workshops first, or we have to qualify you to do it. But this was done at the New York workshop. This is the one I was just talking about. Absolutely mind-blowing production. That was New York this last year, and this is the Elite Masterclass this last year too. It gives you an idea of exactly what I'm talking about. So if you guys are interested in these, let us know. I am really, really excited to hear from you guys. Okay, so let me answer a few Q&A, and then I want to get a little bit more into closing the deal and bring on our panelists. We have so much information I want to go over today. Hopefully, I wanted to, make sure that you realize that you asked the question about getting deeper into fashion photography. Produce and invest in your portfolio. I can't tell you enough. That is the most important thing. Without that, without a master portfolio with supermodels in your portfolio, it's never going to happen. Because if you show a portfolio to Vogue magazine and Anna Wintour looks at your book and you don't have supermodels from Vogue and Versace and Giorgio Armani in your book, they won't even consider you. They won't even look at it. Okay, so you've got to at least start with the production quality, which is what we talked about, how to make that happen. And typically, to give you an idea of what we're talking about with these workshops, this is a scale of about $60,000 to $100,000 a day in production quality. And yeah, you could do that on your own, but it's expensive. So I advocate, hey, that's why the workshops are great. It's a huge cost savings because you get to shoot a production like this, and the cost is minute as far as getting involved. So definitely, if you guys are interested, let me know. Now, if you many of you guys also talked about having an interest in doing an experience, but maybe the budget, maybe it's a little out of your budget. Totally fine. We actually have our workshops, our virtual workshops are only $12.95. And if you enroll during this webinar, we're offering a $300 discount. So it's only $9.95 into any of our virtual workshops. We talk about this as the 3 pillars of success in photography. Pillar 1 is going to be developing your branding and your photographic portfolio, because that's everything. That's essentially who you are and who your identity is as a photographer. So without a mind-blowing photographic currency, then you're going to be nowhere. Okay, so developing your branding and your photographic portfolio is number 1. Number 2 is going to be marketing that brand, marketing you to the biggest decision makers. Absolutely critical to market yourself at the highest level. And that is a really intensive. We also have a marketing workshop that is $12.95. We offer the $300 discount if you want to watch that and rebroadcast. We have that one available. We've had, I think, 40 photographers attend that workshop over the last few months, which is amazing. Incredible workshop with amazing opportunity to learn every aspect of marketing. And then we also have closing the deal. Now, this is the one that comes up. It's in a couple of weeks, and I highly recommend this one. This is all about, and no one's doing anything like this. Nobody in the world right now is doing something on closing the deal. I'm going to be lifting the curtain on some of the secret strategies of how to actually close the deal, how to actually get a client, a high-end client, to book a 6-figure ad campaign with you. Even strategies that are going to work with a wedding client, that you might book a $20,000 wedding photo shoot with them, or a portrait client, or a headshot client, or a fine art client to carry your work in galleries and private collectors. But it can work across the board. But I'm going to be revealing secrets of sales strategy that you guys can utilize in your photography business to maximize your photographic business and to give you an opportunity to close the deal and be more successful. Absolutely critical. Okay, guys? So if you guys are interested in that, we are offering a discount of $300 off if you attend during this workshop. If you guys are interested, I can send you guys a link to enroll in that epic experience, and it will be well worth it. It'll be an experience of a lifetime. So if you guys are interested, closing the deal, the secrets and strategy of how to actually make that sale and increase how much you're making per photo shoot, booking in with the high-end clients, the ones that you really want, not the ones that are going to nickel and dime you, the clients that are excited to pay for it, for photography, because they know the value of what you have to offer, because you offer unbelievable photographic currency and world-class service. Okay, and showing that value proposition to the client and being able to convince them that you are the right person for the job, that you are the right person for them to hire, and that you demand the correct budget and how to close that deal so that you have that signed contract and that money in your bank up front, so you don't have to be chasing clients and worrying about, you know, money coming in. Because I know it's hard. As a photographer, we're independent contractors, we're small business owners, and for us, we're constantly dealing with clients and we're waiting on payments. And I hear this all the time from photographers. And I'm telling you what, there's ways of structuring it so we don't have to wait. There's ways of structuring your business so that you get paid up front. You know, for instance, my common policy when booking an advertising campaign is going to be taking 100% of production costs up front. And also, I'm going to get 50% of all usage and creative fees up front as well. And then the remaining 50% is going to be billed within 2 weeks of the production. Because I don't want to wait. Oftentimes brands are going to be, you know, paying you 90 days after for the whole thing if they get away with it. But you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're getting paid up front. And to give you a little taste, I'm going to show you guys an example of one of my budgets. This was on a campaign I shot for a hair campaign. This was for You Nice. So it was like a beauty campaign. And to give you an idea, this is for 1 year limited usage. And we are, it was $100,000 for 2 days. It gives you an idea of the production budget, and also making sure I got this signed and I got the money wire transferred in my bank account like 2 months before the shoot even starts. And I got the majority of it. I think it was about an $80,000 wire transfer into my bank account before, before I even started producing the shoot. And then the remaining, 20 grand was billed within 2 weeks, and I got it within 2 weeks of the shoot, the final wire transfer after the shoot happened, and before I delivered the content, making sure that I'm holding them accountable too, making sure I get paid 100% before they get any content whatsoever. Really, really vitally important. So this gives you an idea of how I structure, and I get this signed off from the client, and making sure that I'm going to relay that information to them so they understand and they know what to expect. And part of it, sometimes they give resistance. So I'm going to teach you the strategies of how to overcome that resistance, how to be able to make sure that you can close the deal. And also, guys, if you have any good questions about that, I'd love to answer them on this webinar, because I love questions. I want to hear from you guys, and I want to make sure that you guys are getting everything you possibly, as much value as I can possibly give during this short time. I want to be able to give it to you, because it is very, very important to me that that you guys have all the tools at your disposal for absolute success, because I want you guys to succeed. It is in my best interest for you to succeed. And especially those of you who have attended my workshops, we base our success off of the success of our attendees. That's why I like to talk about people like Charles Randolph Warren, who's shooting for Dolce & Gabbana, because that's a great success story. You know, I want to talk about the successes of photographers like Nick Seth Smith, who had shot that unbelievable image of the girl running through the water, this image right here, and landed an $18,500 wedding shoot from shooting this image. I love to talk about this because I want to make sure that you guys realize that this is where success occurs. All right. So I also, so I want you guys to ask some questions. I want to be able to answer them. And I also want to bring some illustrious panelists on. And by the way, if you guys are interested in the Closing the Deal and Booking More Clients workshop, I'm going to be offering this as a one-time thing on here to enroll with a $300 discount. You can enroll for only $9.95 to enroll in that workshop, and that's going to be on July 17th. July 17th. If you cannot attend, you can also watch it in rebroadcast. We had about 10 photographers not be able to attend the last workshop on branding, so they can all watch in rebroadcast. So really, really, really important. And I want you guys to attend something like that, because of all the workshops and the virtual workshops we've done and all the workshops we've done on business, this is the one that I feel personally is the most important workshop that we offer, because it's about where the rubber meets the road and how you are going to be able to book your clients. It is absolutely critical. I'd like you guys to also answer this poll of how likely would you attend and enroll in one of these epic experiences, whether it's a virtual workshop, whether it's a live in-person 4 or 5 day experience. Let me know. I'd love to know if this is something that you feel would benefit you in any way. And if it wouldn't, if you know anyone it would, because we're here to help you guys. And I am absolutely dedicated. I have my bachelor's, my MFA professor of photography, and I started the photography workshop series 12 years ago, and I have been on a dedicated mission to help photographers and give the most world-class, unbelievable top experience and education that I can guarantee that you're going to get more out of a 5-day workshop than you will ever get out of a 4-year degree in photography, guaranteed. You're going to get better content, better contacts of people you're going to meet. You're going to develop a photographic currency and learn the true business side of how to maximize being a successful photographer. And it will completely change your life. So without further ado, I would like to bring on some of our amazing panelists that we have on here. And then I want to answer some more questions after that. So if you ask some questions, I want to make sure that to answer those as well. We have some incredible panelists here. And I'd like to, I know Linda Barrett just attended the workshop that we just did in Chicago. So some of the images I'm going to showcase while she's talking are images that she shot, as well as some of the other photographers shot while in Chicago just like a week and a half ago. So I'm really excited to hear from her. And Linda, this was actually your very first experience, which is awesome, because we have a lot of photographers that have attended numerous workshops. We have a gentleman named Hans who's attended like, I don't know, 9 workshops with us in the last year. So, you know, I love it when we get a fresh new photographer that attends for the first time, because I love to hear your perspective. It is absolutely really important to me. So, so Linda, if you want to jump on, make sure to activate your video and your audio so we can hear from you. That would be amazing. And also we're going to bring the great Jane Ritchie on. She has been a panelist before, and she is absolutely one of my favorite photographers I've ever had a chance to work with at a workshop. And she's attended now numerous experiences with us. And I think she's done Newport Beach. She's done the Miami Beach. And then she just attended this amazing experience in Chicago. Jane, I'd love for you to also jump on as well, so we can hear from you. Okay, so and then Jane, while you're doing that, Linda, I would love to jump on when you get a chance. Okay, so so Jane, go ahead. I'd love to hear from you. And what I want to know, Jane, is what you've been a commercial photographer for many years. You know, you've had an incredible career. You live in San Francisco area. I want to know, why is photography not just about taking pictures? Can you tell me about, kind of from your perspective, all the other aspects and what you think are some of the most critical components that make a successful photographer that aren't about taking pictures?
I think, Kevin, that you pretty well covered it in what you said today. And I started following you about 2 years ago, and I realized that I needed what you have. And you offer the whole package. I started out taking webinars, and I got so much from the webinars, and it was really generous information that I really wanted to continue with you. And the first workshop I took was a marketing workshop, and I learned so much that I had not used. And I've been shooting for over 20 years, and I've had clients here in the Bay Area, but I've never been to the level that I need to be at. And I just learned so much. Just from you, from Dan, who is your right-hand person, Dan and Priscilla, I think. And I I found out I need to be a lot more focused with my target market. And how can I do that? And I had no idea how to get into lifestyle photography. I've been shooting fashion with maybe one model and doing testing. And then I've had fashion clients. I've worked for Mervyn's and Macy's and a number of catalog clients. And I've also I've shot all over the board because I just would take anything I could get. But marketing is really critical, and I did not invest in myself. When you put up that little questionnaire about how much should you invest per year, definitely the more you invest, the better it's going to be. So I've taken 3 workshops now, and I have learned just even about shooting. The lifestyle is amazing. And already I've had a lot of great reaction to both the Newport Beach and to the Miami Beach. And I just feel that I am really ready to go full bore marketing. Branding is also really important, and you've helped me a lot with that, but I need to really spend a lot more time with my LinkedIn profile, which you've mentioned before, and as well as I feel that I could target more with my my website. I used Nick, who is in your, he's been in a lot of your courses too, and he developed my portfolio. So I have this beautiful new portfolio and have gotten great reaction from that. I also have met some incredible people at your workshops that have gone through my work and given me some great responses. And I just will keep following up with those people. But you offer so much more than I learned. I have a degree from the Academy of Art here in San Francisco, and I learned all the technical stuff, and I of course shot with film originally, but I just learned a lot more hands-on experience at your workshops, and I've also learned about what it takes to get bigger jobs. And I'm really excited. I'm excited about what I've gotten in the Chicago workshop. Was just amazing. I can hardly wait to retouch and put these images. Plus, you and Dan have been so generous with your time and helping me to select the images and know what is really working in my field. So I think also I realize fashion has always been my love, and I was going to give up on it, but I am really excited about going forward with doing some more fashion. I'm going to take the Las Vegas workshop. I'm just thrilled with that, and your master class. So I want to thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's so wonderful, Jane. And I just love, I'm going through these images and I'm looking at your website and I'm just drooling. I mean, when I see this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Photographic currency. Jane has developed photographic currency. Okay. These images here were shot at the Newport workshop. You know, these 2 images here, this image here on the left as well with the strawberry. I mean, mind-blowing content. When you see the production scale, see the quality of what you're able to create, this is on another level, okay? This is better.
Where else could I have gotten to
Jane, this is better. Honestly, this is better than what I see in 90% of the top photographers that are represented by photographic agents, okay? This is the top of photography in lifestyle. So content like this is on another level. And I know what you shot also in Chicago in lifestyle is mind blowing as well. That lifestyle day was epic. What we shot in Miami was incredible. You know, the Newport one was out of this world. I mean, you got some unbelievable content and also a lot of diversity. I love the diversity here, the African-American models, Latina models, unbelievable sequences, child models, mature models. You had, you know, the whole gamut of different types of talent. And I think that also adds a lot of value. Also incorporating animals. This was at the Newport workshop with alpacas and, you know, and having diversity in animals and smiles and energy and amazing styling and great lighting. Everything comes together for that perfect moment. And Jane, I'm proud of you because you have taken a huge leap in your photographic career, and your website has drastically transformed in the last, you know, what's been 4 months, 5 months or so since you started working with me. Complete transformation, completely different photographer. She has gone light years. It would take photographers 20 years to achieve, you know, and investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. She was able to do it in such a quick and effective amount of time. So I just want to tell you, Jane, that I'm very impressed and I'm very proud of what you've been able to achieve, because this is epic. Okay, this is absolutely epic. And then I'm giving you all the epic video content from this from these series of productions. And once you have that, now you'll have the full video commercial reel of the great Jane Ritchie, which I cannot wait to see you do that. So Jane, what's next with you? What do you want to achieve? And how do you feel like the workshop has been able to give you the tools to be able to achieve that?
Well, the next thing I'm going to do is get my marketing list together. I'm with Agency Access, which was it's the best. It's got many lists of people that would hire me, such as art directors, art buyers from all over the world. And I've been subscribing to them for a long time, but I haven't been really sending out a lot of emailers. And that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to finish my website before I do that and put in the Chicago. I went over materials for that with Dan today. And I saw that you made comments too, and I was so happy to get your feedback. And actually, I agreed with all of your choices. I was just really happy. My intuition was correct, and I'm just going to go forward with that. But I also need to do the branding. I actually missed your branding workshop, which I had signed up for, but you sent me a link to that, and I'm going to go over that and really get my branding together, and right before I start massively marketing. So I thank you so much.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Jane. You're incredible, and I just love to hear from you every time. You're just such a source of inspiration to all the other photographers, and we really appreciate that, Jane. Okay.
So nice meeting you, Linda, too.
It was
Jane,
awesome. It was awesome, Jane.
Jane and Linda got to join me in that wonderful experience in Chicago like a week and a half ago. So it was amazing. So the great Linda Barrett, I am so excited to have you on. This was your first experience with us. Jane has attended multiple experiences. You can see how it's transformed her website and her entire portfolio and body of work.
It's so great.
Linda, I'd love to hear from you. What do you feel? First of all, the question I want to know from you, how do you feel like why being successful in photography is not about just taking pictures?
Yeah, well, I can't say enough about your production team, the production, the quality, and just the, for all those people who are on here, this isn't like some sales pitch. I want to tell you that they're just such hard workers. They pay attention to all the details, like every little thing. I sent some behind the scenes shots of like Kevin adjusting scarves and double checking, you know, like it's important for you to know that they are, you know, up at the crack of dawn. They're working with their hair and makeup people. They're working with their stylist. They're making sure the food is delivered. They're, you know, double checking lighting, double checking the background. And so you have all that stuff that happens even before some of us even show up to set. So I think that setting that level of expectation, reminding, you know, that I might be having that expectation for myself, but to see you and your team, you know, really step into that, like, want to produce something so, as you say, so epic. I love it because it really was. I mean, it's not like you're just doing one thing. It's like you're doing, you know, I mean, when the Spanish horses showed up, it was just like so unbelievable. Those, I don't even know if they're Spanish, maybe you can correct me, but they're the things that you add to layer in. It's not even the stuff that you would maybe want to ask, you know, like when you're producing, you want to produce, like you want to step into it here, not step into it here. And so Kevin knows that I did a shoot on my own to try and get a sense of like, what would it be to have like 5 or 6 people on the set, and, you know, and 2 of the models canceled. So I had to get like 2 non-models, and like and then having the lighting, and it was in an airport location, getting like weather and all that stuff. And he thought about all those things that I had to problem solve. And so I appreciated, I think, doubly all the work that you put into the production efforts, trying to price it all out, make sure who's showing up for what, getting people in from like, you know, that the guy from Michigan, you know, who took off his shirt for us, but what a good guy. And then you have these, so I shot a couple of these behind the scenes because I don't think, you know, people get a sense of like that, you know, staging in that room and having to bring all the equipment and getting things from like a 4th floor to a 1st floor. And, you know, just even with COVID and all that kind of stuff, and just how friendly everybody is. I mean, my God, Priscilla, I love you. I think you're awesome. And just the hair and makeup and how hard everybody works. And Kevin, I don't know how you keep that kind of energy going all day long on top of the models having to do that. Cause you know, Jane can tell you, and whoever, Dan and whatever, it's exhausting. And I tried to stay to the very end on maybe at least one of those days, but it was, just a lot of work. And you let us try, you know, the filming, you know, walking different directions, you know, high to low. I feel like, you know, I never used that R7. And so that was pretty amazing, but like all the details that you pay attention to. So I hope you can appreciate getting to see a couple of these behind the scenes that that we had with Kevin, just because, you know, just, and the models, just all the details as the sun was setting, you know, just getting, you know, the shadows right, or the scrim right, or bounce fill. So just tried to fire off those just so that some people had some context for like all the different lights and the lighting systems. And I'm used to working with strobe, but you know, not a lot of people are. And I'm also used to lighting 1 or 2 people, but not 3 people, and not the whole room, and not, you know, that 8x8 reflector was just what a monster that is, and how beautiful that lighting was, that natural fill. And then just shifting things on the fly, like us telling the story, sharing that story with us about how everybody, you know, like somebody could get stung by bees, and having to be ready to be prepared to take care of people with like food and beverage and water. And so so it isn't just about taking the picture. And even that, I thought, oh, I'll have an easier time taking the photos. No, I wish I had a do-over after each of my sessions. So I appreciated all of your patience and you standing next to me to kind of get a sense of that. And, you know, I've been shooting for 30 years, and I thought that it would be easier. And I would have to say humbly, yeah, I kicked my butt. So I appreciated having that extra guidance. And, you know, I'm going to be getting to go through the culling of images with Priscilla and your team this week. So I'm really thrilled about that. But I don't know, ask me any other questions too, because it was really, I mean, I wish my budget could afford to take me to France, because I would be there in a heartbeat, because that looks amazing. So, but yeah, I definitely feel like I missed the branding one, but I think that the next one we had talked about was that closing the deal. And I do think I have, I set myself more obstacles by not having really the language or the confidence that one would think you would have after years of shooting. But coming from portraiture to more commercial is it's good. I have all this learning experience in you to like download really quickly to me. And I find a lot of value in that. A lot of value.
That's wonderful, Linda. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all your kind words. But, you know, you were a superstar on set, and I just love the energy and the positivity that you brought every day to the scene. And, you know, to produce and shoot at 4 massive scale production scenes. And you got involved. You started using the R5. You were using all the gimbal. You're doing the video. And I feel like you really started mastering the video production. And I think that's something that I want to see a lot more from you as well in the future. And also, you know, we flew the drone. We did all kinds of incredible stuff shooting with the Mavic Pro 2. I mean, we used the drone, the gimbal, the whole nine. It was really incredible. So
did you show them any of the shots of that Corvette? Okay, I had a wish on my wish list that I wanted to do something that was like kind of epic with this, like, you know, would be great to have a car. And then later that day, Priscilla didn't show her can, but 65 Corvette, classic, beautiful. Look, I mean, look at that. Showed up on set. I was dying. I mean, look at that hair and makeup. I mean, come on, that's just crazy. So beautiful. What a fun shoot that was.
And this is straight out of camera, unretouched, unedited, adjusted, or anything like that. You're right, and you know, it is mind blowing. Each day is vastly different than the next too. I think that was probably a surprise for you, I imagine, because like each shoot day is a completely different experience. It's not like, you know, it's all the same. Like every single day was totally different.
Totally.
You're able to shoot completely different variation, and that way it really adds to the body of work.
Oh yeah, and my portfolio is going to expand tremendously with just, I mean, so many options and so many shoots, and the quality of light, and just the models were honestly, for what they had to go through and the pain of their shoes and all their standing in the front doorways and whatever. Honestly, they were such good sports. They, on top of being so professional, and their looks, you know, just were astounding. And they were troopers, I gotta say.
Well, Linda, you got a little spoiled because you got to work with Midwest models. So, so the models in Chicago, and also the ones we flew in from LA, they were world-class top, you know, people too, in addition to being having a great look. But you know, sometimes it's a little different when you're working with these Russian supermodels in New York and LA. They have a little bit different mentality, but
well, now I'll be prepared.
yeah, but they are amazing. And it was just a really special experience to have you there. And I'm really proud of what you created, and I cannot wait to see how what you just created and learned, how that's going to start to extrapolate, and how it's going to exponentially grow and just explode your business. And that's what
when
I'm
it's
excited
like
about.
Jane's website.
Exactly. Her website's incredible, and I want yours to look like that too, and it will. It's really, really spectacular. Okay. I have a question. This is from Todd McVeigh. He had asked, everything you're talking about now is great, but what did you do 20 years ago when you didn't have thousands of dollars to invest in yourself? And why don't you tell Todd what you did? I mean, this is, I think, directed at me, but I'd like to hear from you, Linda. What did you do when you didn't have a huge amount to invest in yourself and you weren't able to do a workshop? And what did you do then? And what are you doing now?
So, you know, I was an assistant for a while for, you know, for some really great photographers. And that was a lot of commercial and tabletop, and, you know, and even though it wasn't my style, there was a lot to be learned. Anything you can learn about lighting, you should, like, give yourself your own assignments so that you can start to begin to build what is like kind of your skill set of understanding your lenses and your lighting, natural and blended. I love blending, and Kevin does an amazing job of blending natural with strobe fill. I think that was really fun. But I would say even now, before I got to shoot with Kevin, knowing that it was going to be multiple people, I just created an assignment for myself, and I tried to figure out, like, if I was going to do an epic shoot, what would I want it to be? And I was telling him that I decided I would have it be at an airport with kind of jump suits and flights and whatever. And And I thought it turned out fantastic, really. Trust me, it was a lot of work, but giving yourself assignments and deadlines, like deadlines to deliver, is really, really critical, because you're going to have clients who not only expect a lot from the shoot, but then expect a lot on turnaround and delivery. And I think that, working with even some people who are local, like find out who's like the local ice cream shop in your town that needs some new photos or things like that, where you can say, hey, I'm going to do X number of shots, but I need to use your space as a background or whatever. Start to leverage and build relationships with people, because as Kevin said, I mean, his relationship building is now to the next level, right? It's like beyond, but he had to start somewhere. I mean, his relationship started, within your neighborhood, within your chamber, or within your, like, because I belong to a couple of chamber groups, and even the non-for-profits that I think are doing such amazing work. I like to try and do a little give and take. If I can figure out a way to give them something and maybe do some exchange somehow, that maybe they can help promote me. Anytime you have an opportunity like that, and then just start saving money. Seriously, cut out the Starbucks, or cut out, like, because it's, Kevin is not inexpensive, but when you look at what he brings to, like, so for our day, it's like, 3 hair and makeup and stylist, and then the stylist assistant, and then it's like the car and all those dresses, and and then the food and the cameras and the editing and the, and those assistants did a lot of work. It's hot here in Chicago, by the way, like hot and muggy. So ask if you can be an assistant with some people on, if you're not a full-time photographer. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm a full-time photographer and it pays my bills, but that's not true for everybody. So I don't know. I would say start small and start asking, like, look within your 20-mile radius of, like, who are people that you can start to build a relationship with to build a portfolio.
That's great advice. I really appreciate that, Linda. And I appreciate everything that you mentioned. You're a wealth of information, and I'm so excited to see you at some upcoming experiences, because
Yeah.
I know this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And the content you're going to create going forward is going to even dwarf everything you just shot in Chicago with us. So everything that we do, each workshop that we do, it is even better than everything we've done in the past. And we've been directing the workshops for 12 years. I think this is the 10th year in a row we've done the Chicago workshop, and this is the best Chicago workshop we've ever done on all levels, not only on the fashion days, but also on the lifestyle days as well. I mean, I think that it was mind-blowing, and that's why I'm so excited you got to take a look. And that's why we've had photographers take the Chicago workshop 5 times in a row. I've had. And that's why also a lot of our photographers do Chicago, then Newport, then Las Vegas, then the masterclass, etc. But thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate you, and I want to now move on to go over some of the rest of the Q&A. We had some other excellent questions on here, and Todd, I'm also going to add to Linda's solution to that. I love what she said about assisting. That is kind of the old world of doing it, and that is how photographers can really understand what a real production is assisting. That's where you can start out at the bottom and assist under a photographer, under fashion, editorial, advertising campaigns. And that's where I started. When I was 19, I interned under a photographer, and it was the only, halfway decent photographer in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is like a nobody kind of area. And I grew up in a village of 2,000 people in the middle of nowhere in rural West Michigan. So I interned under this photographer, didn't get paid a dime, but I was like, that's fine. I'm going to work with you I worked with him for like a solid 1.5 years or so, just doing free labor. And I learned more during that time than I could possibly explain. I mean, it was absolutely spectacular. I also did my degree in photography and then my MFA to be a professor of photography. But then I still assisted under photographers. And I worked my way from that side. And then I went full on at myself. Now, unfortunately, a lot of photographers, if you're, maybe a little bit older, it's harder to assist or harder to get hired as an assistant, because usually they hire people that are young and, that can, move giant heavy lights and stuff like that. But you know, sometimes that's a little bit more challenging, and physically, if it's hard too. I think that, you know, that's one of the great things with the workshops, is that you can immediately catapult to the top. That's why I developed this, is that you can immediately go from 0 to hero like within a week, and that's what's spectacular. And even if you've been shooting for 30 years and you're already a, you know, successful photographer like Linda and Jane, they now have risen to a whole nother echelon of success, which is incredible. And I love to see it, and I love to hear their stories. So Todd, that's what I would do. And I would definitely save up and invest in yourself. I would highly recommend, at least if you can't afford, you know, coming to a 5-day experience with us, at least come to the closing the deal for photographers workshop, or the branding workshop, or the marketing one, that are very inexpensive, and there's something you can just attend online. That's a great experience as well. So thank you so much for that that question, Todd. I also, Alice Padilla asks, you're amazing. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. I'm very curious, when you do returns, what is the reason you give the company for a refund? Good question, Alice. Depends on where you're ordering it from. If I'm ordering it from Amazon, I would say the safest, oh, somebody's got their dog barking in the background. I would say the safest way to guarantee you're going to get a refund is, I mean, you can put anything you want. But for me, I usually say it, I received it later than expected. And usually it is the case, because I usually am expecting it sooner. That way they usually give you no questions asked when returning it, and you don't have to, like, you know, there's no required response as far as a written response. It's just like they just accept it and they give you a 100% refund. One trick to that though is making, this is kind of important. If you're ordering on Amazon, for instance, when I do the returns, I have a separate label for every single item. It's not easy, but it will streamline it, and it'll make sure that every item gets returned. And I save your return receipts when you take it to UPS. We did this after the Chicago workshop. We had probably 25 separate return items and 25 different packages, but I guaranteed every single item was returned successfully. Bloomingdale's is a giant box. Everything went into the box, and I made sure everything still had its tags on, and I had that return label, and they accepted it 100%. Good question though, Alice. And then next one is, let's see, for Pete Schulte, he asks, what additional lighting did you use for the mansion shoot, or was it all natural light? So I'm assuming you're referring to the first 2 days, or I should say day 1 and day 3, we were shooting at 2 different mansions. And at those, we used a combination of strobe lights and also giant 8x8 bounces to get that kind of lighting look. So that's kind of what we did on day 1 and day 3 when we shot at the mansions. And that is very, very challenging, especially when you're mixing light. But that's, I think, the best look. So for instance, here you can kind of see, this is, for instance, some beautiful stuff we did with the natural bounce. This, actually, most of these were natural bounce. When we shot outside, we shot with an 8x8 foot bounce. This is all 8x8 foot bounce. When we shot indoors on day 3, we shot some incredible stuff, but it was all, we incorporated strobes as well as bounce. So I'm using giant bounces, giant scrims. My preference is a 1 1/4 stop diffusion on the 8x8 foot scrim. Oftentimes a scrim with a bounce, and that way it has a really beautiful look. That just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so those are some great questions though. Thanks, Pete. And if you want to learn more about lighting, I strongly encourage come to one of our epic experiences. We'll show you all the ins and outs of how to master lighting. But that's a really, really great question. Okay, and then Todd McVeigh also asks, thank you for answering. I'm an ex-advertising agency art director, now photographer. So I know the process, but getting thousands of dollars to pay for my own shoots, which I do all the time, it's just not realistic all the time. I'm more interested in hearing how, when you had just an okay book to get into those clients. Okay, so that's the challenge, Todd, and I'll be totally honest with you. When I had like a student portfolio, they didn't even consider me. I mean, and if you're just doing like little portfolio shoots here and there, it's not going to get you anywhere. And this is where a lot of photographers fail. They don't want to spend the money. They don't want to invest in their big productions. And then you show mediocre work, and then that's it. And then you just get ignored. Or oftentimes you only have one chance for that first impression. So if you go and you meet with, 72 and Sunny in LA, or Saatchi and Saatchi in New York, those big ad agencies, and you have just a mediocre book, you blew it. And that art buyer that, there's usually only, 1 to maybe 5 art buyers at an ad agency, and not too many creative directors. So oftentimes you only have one chance at that first impression. If you blow it, you blow it. And that's a big challenge. So I definitely think that, my strong suggestion for you, Todd, especially coming from an art direction background, you've got that amazing talent with art direction. That's huge. I would highly recommend attending one of our next experiences. I think New York might be sold out, but we have our Elite Masterclass in Los Angeles coming up, and that's the most over-the-top and epic production that we do of the year. And then we also have some lifestyle advertising workshops, such as Newport Beach, which is almost full, and that is coming up in 2022. But that's going to also be an epic experience. But Todd, I'd love to see with that one, and also at some of these upcoming ones. And make sure to also set up a Zoom call, guys, if you haven't already, with one of our team members. Because if you want to learn more about this stuff, more in detail about producing and about some of these secrets and stuff, please, I really recommend that you guys jump on and set up one of these calls. I put it in the chat again, so you guys can click on there and set up a dedicated consult with one of our photographic consultants. I think that would be amazing for you guys. I think it would really add a lot of value. I also have another question from Sheila Fram asking, at what point is it necessary to work with a lawyer who should review and negotiate contract details? What is the cost? Sheila, that's absolutely unnecessary. I've never brought in a lawyer to deal with any sort of contract negotiation or anything like that. It's totally unnecessary. I would say that's just wasting your money. It's very easy. My recommendation is I use a software called BlinkBid. I've been using that for probably 10 years. It's specifically for photography contracts. And a lot of ad agencies are used to seeing it. So that was the contract I showed you earlier. That was all designed in BlinkBid. What I love about it is that it's streamlined. And it's an easy way to basically remember all the little production costs, all the things from the catering, the travel, the talent, the casting, all those things. And it kind of helps me remember things to add in so I don't forget. So I really like using BlinkBid. And I don't think you need to use a lawyer to negotiate a contract. What the person that generally would negotiate, if it's not going to be you, it would be your photography agent, a photographic agent that would represent you. That's who would generally be a person to, like, quote unquote, negotiate it, right? That's what, and we talk about that. In fact, we've had panelists at our branding workshop. Two of our panelists were photography agents, and they can tell you all the ins and outs of how to negotiate contracts with clients. Also, here are some of the past panelists that we've had, like JP Reps, the owner of JP Reps, George Perez. He's a super agent, represents all these big top celebrity photographers. He used to be my agent for like 3 years. He's been a panelist at numerous of our workshops. We have Brendan Johnson, Simone Friend. She was a panelist at our last workshop a week and a half ago in Chicago. She represents photographers. She talked about that during the workshop live with Jane and Linda and the other photographers there. Janice Moses, she's a top agent in New York. She's also been a panelist with us. And I would recommend contacting these people as well, contacting these photography reps. And if you need introductions, I'm happy to do it too. I know these people really well. I know most of the agents in the United States, and I've been repped by 4 different agents in my career personally. But generally, it's myself or the agent negotiating the contract, and that's kind of how that works. Yeah. Okay, and Todd McVeigh says, thanks, Kevin, for the great info. Maybe I can do the Miami workshop just for the heck of it. Here's my site. That sounds excellent, Todd. I'd love to have you there. The Miami workshop, just by the way, we had the creative director, Mario Gomez from Sapient Razorfish at the last one. And he was amazing. He's the guy that, here's Mario Gomez. He's the guy that regularly was hiring the photographer Dave Hill on like $750,000 photographic ad campaigns. And he was there talking about the process of how he's selecting the photographer to do that. And he was a panelist at our last Miami Beach photographic workshop. So we bring in the heavy hitters, the big deal creative directors and art buyers that are some of the top people that are in the industry. So he works at Publicis Sapient, and Sapient Razorfish was, I guess that was the former name for it. So just to give you an idea of that. But I would love to see you there, Todd. And I think that you'd probably be a great fit. The Miami workshop is a mix of basically swim photography and lifestyle resort advertising and lifestyle commercial advertising photography. So it's a 5-day experience in 2022, and it's a massive scale production. The last one we just did in Miami 2 months ago, it was sold out and we had a waiting list. We had, it was an unbelievable experience. Jane had attended. She had an incredible experience there, and you got to see the images with all the diversity. The video from that is out of this world, epic. We even had a camera operator who was a camera operator for James Cameron on Avatar, who was our camera operator filming all of it in Miami as well. So it was really, really spectacular. And Todd, I would absolutely love to have you there. And by the way, I just checked, and that link that you sent me also is, I'd love for you to send you a new link because that one's not working, Todd. But excellent. So you guys have answered or asked some incredible questions, and I really appreciate all of that. I really like a lot of the interaction within this because I want to hear from you guys. I want to know exactly your perspectives about you know, what you want to know and what you want to grow and learn. And I want to know also going forward, you know, what type of topics do you want me to go over at these epic webinars? If you do these every few weeks, and we're doing it for free just to give you guys more value, because it's important to me that you guys have as much knowledge as possible so you can be as successful in the photographic industry that you're in. Extremely, extremely important to me that each and every one of you, whether you come and take a workshop with us or not, it doesn't matter. I just want you to succeed. I'm dedicated to photographers. I'm dedicated to photographic education and inspiring photographers to become the best version of themselves. Now, without further ado, I want to bring in one of my absolute favorite panelists of all time, the great Daniel Rothschild. Dan, you know, Dan, first of all, you have been working with me for the last year. It's been almost exactly a year, I think a month from now. And you have attended, I think, about, I want to say 9 workshops or so with me approximately. And you've got to come and fly all over the country with me, coming to the incredible experiences from Newport Beach to the Elite Masterclass in LA, New York, Chicago, up in Breckenridge, up at 11,000 feet, up in the mountains, shooting with Bactrian camels and these top models that we flew in, going down to Miami Beach. And it has been an incredible whirlwind. What I want to know from you, Dan, is you've been able to coach my top photographers that have been having some of the most amazing opportunities and success this year. What do you feel like is, you know, why do you think photography is not just about taking pictures? Do you have any advice for our photographers about that? And I'd love for you to tell me about that.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, Kevin, and welcome everybody. I'll be brief. Okay, as a coach, much of my assistance in many times is just reminding you of things you knew, might not be doing, might never have done, that type of thing. So there are a few things for most photographers that makes a difference to getting job bookings. And we'd be glad to guide you and show you how to realistically do this. For those of you that don't mind working and rolling up your sleeves just a little bit, the real and simple things you need to do to really book more jobs is this. Because you can take your photos, and that's wonderful, but somebody isn't just going to come knocking at your door saying, oh my gosh, I heard and I figured out you had a photo, I'm interested. You know, it just doesn't happen. So the first thing is is accept, and I really cut it down to the reality and the real basics, and that is accept the fact that your portfolio, that's your photos and your video reel, is the first selling tool that begins the process and the first hook and lure for a potential client to consider you. So your portfolio has to be at a level of the client's ads and better. So the second part of this is to accept that you have to have photos that show that you already work with world-class models, fashions, locations, props, like everything that Kevin, you've been speaking about, so that you'll be considered to replace the photographer the client you're going after already has. So, because that's the real name of the game. To be hired means it's not like they don't have a photographer. They're always looking for better. So you have to be noticed over thousands of people that are sending their photos to be considered. So the portfolio is the selling tool, and it has to be of the caliber we've been talking about. So this part is accomplished at our workshops. It's that we've been showing. It's the real deal, and that's what we do. Now, the next part, and you have to be okay doing things a little differently. I don't want to scare anybody. Pardon my humor. You'll get used to me. So you have to be okay doing things a little differently than you have been, and be okay doing some work that's going to be rewarded at the end result. Maybe not rewarded during the work. And be okay with this. Now, this part is sometimes called marketing, one of those scary words. But we guide you to make it simple for you specifically, so you'll be able to do it and do it consistently. I and Priscilla and our team, we guide you on this part so you can market yourself consistently, which is the key word. Not just contacting a company once, but setting up a system that's easy to do, to contact them weekly, every other week, whatever. Now, the final piece, and a very important part, once you're sitting in front of the client or the potential client that's considering to hire you, and you've done all that work, and there you are, whether it's in an office or on Zoom these days, modern times, you have to, and kind of pardon my, it's not corny, but it's really the truth. You got to believe in yourself. You have to be okay being a success. And you have to believe in yourself enough and know how to sell yourself. And for you to know, as Kevin pointed out, how to close the deal. So they choose, so they choose you and not the other photographer that they're also considering, so you do not leave money on the table or give it up to the other photographer. And this part you'll learn at our, one day, as Kevin mentioned, the workshop on closing the deal coming up on July 17th. I'll always tell any photographer I work with, when you allow us, we will assist you in all of these areas as much as you'll allow us. So whatever level you want to get to, whether it's just stay local and be the best photographer in your local area, or go, all the way and be published on Vogue or do six-figure ad campaign, whatever it is, it's up to you. Here's the great thing. You can hire a company, there's a million of them out there, that will do the pay to play marketing for you. Well, all the people in their call center you're working with have never gone out and done a six-figure ad campaign themselves. We have, Kevin has. So we're the real deal that can help you as much as you'll want us to. And so I always say it how it really is. So Kevin, that's my stuff. to share today.
Well, I'm honored as always, because the great Daniel Rothschild is just a wealth of information, and he has stood by our photographers and guided them every step of the way, and he sticks with you. And that's what I think that a lot of our photographers, they were mentioning earlier, like Jane had mentioned, that our photographic consultants are passionate about helping photographers, and we give photographic consulting advice and direction and guidance and coaching all for free. That's a part of what we do. We help you guys immensely, and we're there to guide you every step of the way. And I want to make sure that you guys realize this, because this is something that no one else is doing out there. And I want to make sure that you guys take advantage of the amazing opportunity to do a photographic consult with one of our photographic consultants, because it is a critical and amazing opportunity to get it for free. Because a lot of times, a lot of these consultants are charging hundreds of dollars per hour, and we're offering it for free. And Daniel Rothschild has been a huge inspiration and has helped hundreds of our photographers achieve more success. And that's what I get really, really excited to have him on here speaking, because he is a brilliant genius when it comes to this. And he's there to really help photographers get unstuck and kind of move to the next level. So thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it. So guys, I feel like this has been an amazing group. I'm excited because your questions have been incredible, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of go in depth about all aspects of the producing side and why success in photography is not just about taking pictures. And the final thing I want to discuss is why the sales side is so important. Because you know what? A lot of us photographers are scared of sales. A lot of us, we don't even know, we've never had sales training. We don't know the first thing about, the sales process, about getting a client to say yes. And even when they say no, or they say, hey, talk to me in a week or 3 weeks, or I don't want to hear from you, what to do then? What to do next? What is our systematic approach that works, that convinces clients that you are the absolute best photographer for the job, that you are the one that's going to give enough value that they're going to want to hire you, and they're going to want to pay you the rate that you deserve. And I want you guys to realize that this is where the rubber meets the road, and it's one of the most important facets of being a photographer, is being a paid, hired, and successful photographer, one that can do this professionally full time and be able to actually make this happen as a career. And I'm here to guide you, because I have an immense knowledge and understanding and training of how to do the sales process. And I'm going to unveil that process, and I'm going to lift the curtain during the closing the deal and book more clients photographic workshop on July 17th. And if you guys want to attend, it will completely change everything that you know of right now in your photographic career, because I guarantee you it will make you more money without fail, without question. And if you want to earn more and you want to be a more successful photographer, you got to master the sales process, be able to close the deal, and to book more clients, because it will completely change everything. And it'll put you to a whole new echelon in your photographic career. In addition to everything else that we provide, it's kind of a specialty workshop that we've never offered before, but it's something that I feel is badly needed, and it's going to completely be revolutionary. So I'm really excited. If you guys want to take advantage of that, please make sure to click on that link that we had posted in the chat that offers the opportunity to enroll in the Closing the Deal and Book More Clients workshop, and it offers a $300 discount. So you guys can click on that in the chat and go ahead and sign up. And remember, 100% of that investment can be credited towards any 4 and 5 day photographic workshop that we have coming up in 2021 or 2022. And it ends up being free. And that's why we're doing this. I mean, almost all of the top photographers who end up attending these end up doing the 4 and 5 day workshops. And it's because, it's because they see so much value in the in-person experiences. But what's great is that I don't have enough time in a workshop, even in a 5 day workshop, to go over all of this information. So we offer this as an opportunity, and essentially we're giving it away for free because it's a full credit. So that we just want to give you every detail and every aspect of advantage and cutting edge over the competition in the photographic industry. So I hope you guys learned a little bit during this webinar, and I can't wait to see you achieve the greatest success of your photographic career.